Hello, my friend, and welcome to Beyond, the personal growth podcast for the people who are healing beyond their conditioning and beyond the cycles that played out before them. My name is Katie Lynn, and with 20 years of experience in the field of psychology and human behavior, I am bringing my natural curiosity, expertise, and personal life experiences here for discussions that are guaranteed to be informative, inspiring, and entertaining. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Today on the podcast, we have Theo. Theo, thank you so much for being on today. Where would you like to begin?
Thank you for having me. I would like to begin with talking through how to gain clarity around my new business that I've launched 6 weeks ago at this point, and trying to gain clarity on the purpose of my business and the services that I really want to offer my clients.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I said that to you before we press record, but I feel like every time somebody says out loud that they've just launched a business, that deserves a whole moment of celebration because it's such a big milestone and an adventure, right? There's so much learning fast.
Yes.
If you start a business or you enter into a partnership with another human, you're in the accelerated program of personal growth. So welcome.
Thank you.
When you say you're focused, what was the impetus for you starting this business?
I see this business sort of like a building block towards my long-term dream. So for context, I'm Latina, I'm Peruvian American, and I moved to the States when I was 15. So I'm also an immigrant. I have had a lot of experiences in my personal life, but then also my professional life, where I think my heritage and my ethnicity has played a part, and not always in a positive way. I struggle with being underpaid, not being given opportunities or being passed on for opportunities. And in my career, I've been working in human resources for 10 years now. I've almost had a front row seat to a lot of injustices that happen in the workplace that are just preventing Latinas from truly thriving in the workplace, from working in places that were not fully inclusive or not truly inclusive for Latinos, or not really trying to understand what Latinas need to grow and develop, or other things that could be happening outside of work, right? When we're trying to balance all the things. I've always known that at some point in my life, I wanted to create something of my own. I didn't know what it would be, but I know that I've always been very entrepreneurial and very ambitious and creative. And because of my experience and my family's experience being immigrants here, I knew that whatever I create someday, maybe I'm talking like 5 to 10 years, will need to be in service of other immigrants, particularly from Latin America. But that's kind of a long-term dream. And so right now, I had this itch, which you can probably relate to. A lot of entrepreneurs have this itch of, okay, I don't want to wait 10 years, 5 years to do that. I want to start something now and have that be kind of a building block towards my overall mission to support Latino immigrants. And so I thought about, what am I good at? And I've been doing coaching for many years in human resources. I'm really good at connecting with people. My why is, again, supporting immigrants. And so I thought I could support Latinas in their careers, because I have a lot of experience having been a recruiter myself, having been in HR, how to negotiate, how to advocate for yourself, how to create spaces where you can be successful. And so that is the why, or the purpose behind my business, is to support Latinas in their career journeys.
Mm-hmm. This is incredible. I mean, what you're bringing forward is so important, and it's so needed. And I hear this from a very logical, well thought out intellectual place. I'm wondering what the heart of it is.
The heart. I'm a very emotional person. And so it's interesting that you mentioned logical, because I feel like my decisions are mostly emotionally driven. Although I'm trying not to be impulsive. So I think there's a difference between the two. So I've given this a lot of thought. So you are right in pointing that out. I think the heart of it is, I've been very angry for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time. Like, I would love to say this is something that came from like good, positive feelings of
Mm-hmm.
wanting to help. But honestly, I've experienced harassment, discrimination,
Mm-hmm.
microaggressions, bias in my career. And those are external things. And then I've
Mm-hmm.
experienced my own internal pressures because I also want to take accountability for my own perfectionism, my own imposter syndrome, my own limiting beliefs that I
Mm-hmm.
have for many years in my career. They were preventing me from kind of like fully being the talented person that I know I am,
Mm-hmm.
from speaking up, from advocating for myself. I know that I'm not the only one. And I think that's where
Yes.
the anger really came, because it's me, but it's also many of my Latina friends and family and community who are in similar stages, who have been stuck. And I've gotten out of it. I'm not at a point where I have my dream job. I work at a place that is inclusive. I have a wonderful mentor. Like, I'm safe, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel safe for a long
Yeah.
time in my career. And I started getting angry many years ago when I could see, when I could hear from, again, Latinas in my family and Latina friends who kept saying, like, yeah, this person got promoted, even though they're not really doing the
Mm-hmm.
work, and I brought in this much. Or, yeah, I tried to
Mm-hmm.
negotiate and they told me there's no budget. Or, no, I can never be a leader in this organization because no one looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the heart for me has been always, since I was a little girl, I don't know why, but anything around justice has always been really important to me, like fairness
Yeah.
and for things to be just. And like equity is so important to me. And I can't work in a place that is unethical or it's not
Mm-hmm.
equitable to their employees. And seeing all of that is what has always, like, it's this anger that has moved me in my decision making. Like, I went back to school to get my master's a few years ago because, one, I knew that I probably needed the master's more than people who are not Latinas to advance in my
Mm-hmm.
career. But I also wanted to get the education to be successful in my career so then I could go back and do more coaching and use my education and the data and the research that I've learned. It was a research-based degree to support Latinas. So the heart to me is anger. It's kind of being tired of the same systems in corporate America, not just corporate America, like any workplace that
Mm-hmm.
is not designed to support us. Like, every time I go to a DI workshop and they're like, oh yeah, Latinos are the most underpaid group. And they have the chart, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like the cents that we get out of the dollar that even a Latino
Yeah.
man. I'm tired of just nodding and being like, yeah, that's our experience.
Yeah.
And it's that kind of like, I'm fed up, I'm tired, and I just want to contribute to like more sustainable change for Latinas.
Yeah, for sure. I hear the anger and I hear the passion, and both are so important. There can sometimes be this unspoken sentiment that any endeavor we undertake needs to be out of goodness, in air quotes, right? Like it needs to be righteous, I don't know, shiny and sparkly and pretty and presentable. For most of the female entrepreneurs that I speak with, we're actually working to be the woman we needed
Mm.
for the people who are around us, for the people who are coming up sort of behind us, not from a hierarchical place, but just from a generational place. But just for the listeners, anybody listening, anger has two legs, is how I explain it. One leg is in powerlessness, and the other leg is in uncertainty.
Mm.
And that's what creates those situations when you have one or both will create anger, because there's this wondering of like, not only do I feel powerless, but I don't know how to navigate this. And I feel under-resourced and I feel under-supported. And I think all of us in some way, shape, or form could resonate with that feeling.
Yeah.
I see you, and I also see this visual of you as an 8-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl, getting prepared to, change environments geographically, arriving at this new place you've heard so many different things about, and then feel under-resourced. There are things that I'm experiencing that in my youth, in my right mind, I'm not sure how to navigate them. And I could use the future me. If I could call the future me forward, to me or back to me and hold her hand and hear what she has to say and learn from her experiences and receive her wisdom and have guidance in that way, how much different could my experience be? And how good would that be for the world? Because your contributions are important. That seed of justice, that's planted on purpose, like these things about us are very much planted, I believe, are very much planted on purpose. So when I hear the heart, I hear, I had my experience. I've endured quite a bit, more than I would like for the next generations to feel like they have to endure from an under-resourced place.
Yeah.
Does that feel accurate for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I like to really clarify that when I speak with entrepreneurs, especially the first time, because that emotional perspective is what really fortifies and clarifies what's created as a result of that. So I heard you say what my offers look like, where I'm going with this, how I'm structuring it. So now that you hear that reflection of like, I'm here to make change forward and to heal backwards. This is in service to not just every other Latina woman who is in this world right now, but every young Latina girl and every Latino who's like wondering what the heck they're supposed to do when the game is checkers. And in order to play, we have to learn how to play chess, because if we try to play checkers, we'll lose ourselves in it because it's not designed, right? It's like in checkers, there's red and black circles and we were given blue ones.
Yeah.
And it's like, especially if you're female, which is why like people go, why do you help female founders? And I say, because female founders are playing a game that's not designed for them to win. And if they play like their counterparts, they will lose themselves and they will burn out and they will lack fulfillment. As women and as minority women, we get to play a whole different game. It's on the same board, but it's a different game. For you, now knowing this heart of it, what offers do you feel like would be the most impactful?
It's so hard for me to say it out loud. And I don't even know when I say it out loud what it would look like. I have been focusing on career, because I've been in HR. And that just seems like the most logical and natural progression. Like, I'll start business. What am I good at? Okay, I coach employees. Great. I have an HR background. All right, awesome. So I'll go with that. I wanted to be a therapist and I didn't. And when I went back to school for my master's, it was actually in industrial organizational psychology because I wanted the psychology major. I love understanding the human mind and understanding human behavior. And I love having deep conversations. And I think what I bring to my work today when I'm coaching employees and the feedback, I'll say the feedback that I'm getting, because sometimes I'm really bad at giving myself credit. So I've been documenting feedback, is the transformation in terms of like what you're doing with me right now, the emotions, getting to the core of what's really in someone's heart. Like this is the layer of like, okay, yeah, you're maybe not performing great. Maybe you need to organize yourself better. What are organizational techniques? Like this is a lot of career coaching, but then the underlying challenges, fears, negative thinking, negative patterns, maybe influencing that they're getting from other people or from themselves. Again, this perfectionism, especially when I speak with women of color, that I can get to the root, or really anyone, like why, okay, you're making mistakes in your work. Well, I could keep it surface level and say, you just need to review your work and like set up 30 minutes in the day to review your work. And then we would stay there.
Yeah.
But I don't think that person would really change or the change would be as impactful. Yeah. Because we haven't uncovered that really this person is feeling so scared in this new job because they don't think they deserve it, because they're now working in tech. And I had this conversation with someone like Latinas in tech is still an industry where we are continuously trying to get into. I'm more interested in getting into that than telling you or like coaching you on like how can I have a productive week? My offers and my services, and when I'm doing my discovery calls right now, I'm feeling a little bit, I'm going to use the word uncomfortable, because to me, discomfort happens when I feel like I'm not in alignment with myself. Okay. For me, I like when I have supported women in the past, they'll say, you've really empowered me. Like you're getting me like riled up to like go and have that conversation with my manager and go and ask for that promotion and go and speak up in that meeting. And I don't think it's that I'm sitting with them to be like, okay, let's walk through your resume and like, let's go through the interview process. Those are not the things that I enjoy. What I enjoy is going into like the first time I did mediation at my job, like people were crying. And one of the leaders said to me, we have never reached this moment of awareness as a team. They were experiencing a lot of conflict. And he was like, you made us go into this like turning point in our team. I was asking these powerful questions on like, what is really happening here, right? That, and like, how do we understand each other as individuals before we see each other as colleagues, right?
Yeah.
But my offer and my services, and when I look at my website, I think there are parts of my website that are in alignment when I'm talking about, you know, the injustices and microaggressions and my experience. But when I go into my offers and my services, they feel very tactical.
Yes.
And what I really want to do, like when I think about Latinas and when I think about this anger, is it's almost like when you're a coach, you're coaching yourself, like you were saying, right? Like I wish I'd had me when I was even like 15 to be like, you can speak up, like you have a voice and you can activate it. And so I feel like even my friends now, they've seen a transformation in me and they've said, like, now you're the first one to speak up. Back then, you would let people walk all over you. Like that was Katie, that was my MO, like passive, shy, walk all over me. And I see a lot of Latinas getting stuck and feeling just unhappy in their lives because they're missing, they have that fire and I know they have them, but they're not activating it. And what I want to help them do, and what I think is really is something that I'm really good at, is that empowerment. And that building the confidence. And so when you ask me about my offer, I almost feel like it's more personal development than professional development. If someone, they come back to me and they're like, Theo, through your coaching, now I'm finally making the 6 figures that I wanted to make, which means I get to travel or I get to send money to my parents. Because like, I know a lot of us as Latinas are supporting our parents and we'll have that for the rest of our lives. Or I'm able to provide for my children. Or if you don't have children, I'm able to provide for my dog, like whatever it is. I want to hear that. Or if they're saying, I'm finally a leader in my field, because those are the 2 areas where I feel like we're most underrepresented is leadership and pay, and the 2 can come together. That's where I was thinking I need to be a career coach because pay and leadership is aligned to that. But something is pulling me from more of the, is there a path where I can help people do that through focusing more on that personal development? I don't feel comfortable, I think, saying anything outside of career coach because my experience has been in career, like in HR. And that's where I'm struggling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I hear every word of this and every word that's said and every word that's not said. And as I hear you speak internally, I kind of giggle internally because I'm the opposite. So I am a therapist, licensed, and wanted really deeply from a logical perspective, wanted to be able to say, I'm a psychotherapist and have people go, oh, we know exactly what that is. Because there's a piece about it that has to do with understanding, being understood and belonging. My higher power just absolutely wasn't having it. I was designed to be a coach. I heard you say they have this fire and it just needs to be activated. According to you, what activates the fire?
Oof. For me, it was hitting rock bottom. Like going into a depression episode, that was the wake-up call. That any excuse that I had made for not leaving my toxic job and any excuse that I had made or any fears that I had, like it was kind of a career switch in some way. So I was like, who's going to hire me? I've been doing the same role for 8 years. My title has been recruiter. How am I going to get away from it? Like, no one's going to hire me. Even after getting my degree and getting a 4.0 GPA, this is like how the imposter syndrome is such a strong thing. And then when I hit that moment I could sense, Katie, how unhappy I was in my life and how I was changing because of it, to the point where my friends were noticing a change in me. I don't want to start crying so I can say the story, but anyone who knows me knows that I'm positive, I'm goofy, I'm silly. I like to laugh. I like to bring joy. I like to bring people together. I like to make friends. I'm that person, but I was in this darkness because I was so unhappy in my career. I was so unhappy with the decisions I had made. I was so stuck, and I wasn't like really pushing myself to get out of it. I remember calling my doctor and being like, I'm not well. I need help. I was really angry with myself because I looked around. I hadn't showered in a week. I was at the bottom of the bottom. And I remember being so angry with myself because I said, like, I'm such a great person. I have a lot of love in my heart. I should be taking care of my body, of my mind, of myself. And here I am, depressed. And I remember saying that I felt like I have so much to live for. Then things shifted. Kind of like, in those movies when someone's like drowning or like they're at the bottom and you start like coming out. Like I feel like I was coming out for air, but I had to do that for myself. No one else was there holding my hand. Me, the fire that was activated was when I felt the worst. Like when I felt like I looked around and I was just unhappy, and I felt like that was a disservice to myself. Like, come on. Like, this is a disservice to myself.
I heard a decision in there. In every moment we're making a decision, whether it's conscious or unconscious. There's thousands of decisions we make unconsciously every single day. And I heard a decision as you were explaining that, where you had this moment. It's interesting because your initial action point is anger. That's sort of the reflex, right? Like mine is sadness. So I'll go into sadness and I'm like, I'm so sad. I'm like, why am I so sad? Like, I gotta like check, there's something here for me. And I start, exploring. But for you, it's anger. It sounds like you had this moment of clarity where it was like, wait, I'm a good person. Like, I'm actually a really good person. And so what I hear you speaking to, and this really ties together into what I was going to say before I asked you this question, is what I hear you speaking to is a really powerful distinction between self-confidence and self-worth, because they're not the same. And a lot of people think that they're the same thing, but self-confidence is external. It's the knowing, right, that I can be a great recruiter, the knowing that I am a great student, that if I set my mind to something, I can go accomplish it, that I am talented, I can be a great daughter, I can be a great sister, I can be a great friend, like these external things where we can go, here's the proof, right? We collect the proof and we can gather it and show it to somebody. Self-worth is internal, and it's that internal identity, which is the work it sounds like you really want to do, is identity work. Like the identity of, no matter how it's going in the world, I know who I am. I know I am a good person. I know I'm doing my best to be a good person. I might not always be the best person on any given day, but I'm human. I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of being treated well. I'm worthy of treating myself well. I lead myself in that way. And no matter what's happening externally, I am worthy. I belong here. And I like to say, I know I belong here because I woke up with breath in my lungs. That's how I know I belong here. That's my proof. Every breath is my proof that I still belong here. That distinction is so powerful, because when you have that rock bottom moment, which we will have, I mean, ideally it would only be once in our lifetimes, but I've gotten the, premium package. So like having multiple experiences of being like, wow, here we are. But it was really in service to me remembering, oh, wait, no, I am not going to accept this. I'm going to be a stand for something different and something better and something more reflective of my inherent worthiness. And both are important. You need self-confidence and self-worth. But what I hear you saying is like professional coaching or professional identity coaching for Latina women or something like that, where it's like, that if you have the most qualified candidate, but that candidate feels like they don't deserve that position, they'll sabotage that position. How does that feel for you?
This feels in alignment. Everything that you're saying. I didn't think I was worthy of something better. I didn't actually believe it because I had to do a lot of work through therapy. I feel like I love myself, but not always liked myself.
Yes.
I think the rock bottom was the biggest, to me, proof of self-love was looking around and saying, no, I don't deserve this. I deserve better than this. And let me get the help, right?
Yep.
And that's where I started doing more of the work. But I've been in those positions where I was like, okay, I'm going to fight and like advocate for myself for the promotion that I deserve. And I got it.
Yeah.
Still unhappy.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the title change. I got it. Still unhappy.
Yes.
Because I hadn't worked through that self-worth piece. I wasn't honoring my life and honoring myself. Now I'm in a good place. And that's what I want for Latinas.
Yes. So there's definitely, and I'm not sure if you've explored this or not yet, but I'm going to drop it here. And if it resonates, take it. If it doesn't, throw it out. There's definitely a healer component with you.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that's very present, like from the moment, and like we just met, right? So from the moment you opened up the camera, though, I was like, oh, she's got to be a healer of some sort. And I didn't even know what your business was at that point. So that's very obvious to me. For humans, like how you do what you do is less important as the result that you create with them. So for a lot of healers, because we're marketing to humans and we're in service to humans, we get to play within the realm of human psychology, how the brain works. And I encourage my clients to play with the idea that you might have to kind of Trojan horse it for people to say yes initially. And I'm not saying that in a way that's out of integrity or sell something that is not what you say it is or deliver something different. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you might initially need to market according to the self-confidence piece. And then once they get in the door, you let them know that self-confidence is sort of like an IOU piece of paper if you don't have the self-worth. This is the most random example, but it's like sort of like putting a dress on a potato and expecting it to turn into a doll as soon as you put a dress on it. And you're like, no, that's like still a potato and it's wearing a dress. And now it's really weird. The outfit doesn't change who's wearing it. It just, it'll influence it a bit, right? Like, but it's still a potato in a dress. Like, so until you go and transform that into a doll or you get what you want in there, you become, then you're only ever going to be chasing something that seems to always elude you. And that's what your work is. But the results that you create will be incredible because you go, we land you your dream job. Not only do we land you your dream job, you're happy. You wake up rested in the morning. You have friends. You have time to see them. You're being compensated really well. You can develop your relationships professionally and feel confident doing that and feel empowered doing that. These are the ways that you share with them the results because that's what they're wanting. They're wanting this, like, you don't have to take the salary and kind of die slowly each day because you're so unfulfilled, right? Like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that you said, and even the results that you're talking about, I think this is where I feel more in alignment when I think about the person, like who you are holistically. Because if we're focusing just on one area of your life, then there are other, like when you think about a job, a job is important for many reasons, but a job could be important to you because it gives you flexibility to do the things that you want to do, to take that dance class, to make friends, to travel. And so, and actually when I'm doing my discovery calls, I talk about the pillars in your life because I don't want to focus just on like career, but like, what are the other things that are important to you in your life? So we're not losing sight of those. Exactly. And so I like more of this holistic approach. Yeah.
I love that. A holistic approach to your career and your professional development. Like that sounds incredible. That makes me want to go get a job, and I don't want a job. That makes a job sound appealing to me. And I'm like, I've been an entrepreneur for like 10 years now. You're speaking about is the principle of be, do, have.
Yes.
And the way that the world wants us to think that it works is that you have, and then you do, and then you be. But that's backwards. And so what you're literally like, part of you feel is like you're coming in and you're like, hey, we got it backwards, and we've got to be first and then start doing and then have. And that's been your journey, like what you just shared from rock bottom, right? And then you started being the woman who believed that she was worth more. And you went out and got support. You went out and made community, and you went, then you started doing, which is to support community resources, all that stuff. And then you started having. And it's brilliant. It is the chess when the world is playing checkers.
This aligns perfectly with even my story and what I've been doing in my life. And everything that you've mentioned is also, I think, migrating here. There was, with the best intentions possible, my parents created a pressure.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember my dad, when we arrived at the airport, I was 15 years old. It's been 19 years since then. And I remember vividly, he said, we've come here to succeed. And so I have made it a point to overdo it, stress myself out to get the best grades, to get the masters, to make them proud, to show that we came here for a reason. And then in the process, I was neglecting the being. And so a lot of people are like, when I've then shared with them I have high functioning anxiety, they're like, but you have all these things and you've accomplished. And I'm like, but you don't know the internal struggle, because I hadn't worked on the being, because I had started there.
Yep.
Right. And now, a few years ago when I had that moment in my life, it's when I finally switched to being. And now my life, I told my sister this the other day, and I got emotional because I told her, this is the happiest I have ever been in my life, ever.
Yeah.
And she was like, wow, that's amazing. Like, because I'm content with myself. So it doesn't matter. Like, I've had beautiful moments in my life and beautiful experiences, throughout my life, but I was never happy with myself. So I was always in this like lacking state. I was always lacking. So now it's like anything could happen, but I'm happy, I'm content. And so I can take it on.
You're unstoppable.
Yes.
Yes. In the healthiest way.
Yeah.
Right. In the healthiest way. And there you speak to something that is so palpable and intangible. I don't share this often, but my dad immigrated from Mexico when he was 5 years old and lost both parents before he was 5. So he was raised by my aunts and uncles and whoever could care for him. In our culture, there is this beautiful aspect of family and family values and like making your family proud. And there is this unspoken, right? My dad never looked at me and said, you must be successful, right? Or you must perform, or you must do, like, he never did that. In my brain, I would still be like, my father came through this and my parents came through, right? Because I'm biracial. So my parents came through this to create me and create opportunities for me. And there's just this unique lens. And we have this very real identity reckoning to navigate that we didn't consciously sign up for. But when we were born, that was a part of our curriculum, is like, how do I be me in a world that does not reflect the culture maybe I was raised in, or the culture that I was raised in is so blended and unique that I don't quite fit anywhere unless I abandon myself, right? Which is what happens, I think, a lot for minorities in corporate jobs or when you work for bigger bureaucracies. It's like, we want these parts of you, we don't want those parts of you. And that can be such a a tough experience mentally and emotionally. When you speak to those things, those are experiences that, like, when you say it, I feel it. And I'm like, she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing. So now the game you'll play is being loud about it and letting everybody know that you exist, and refining your offers in a way that stretch you a little bit, but more so reflect what the women that you are serving really need. You're right. Like what they would tell you they need. I need a better job. I need higher pay. I need a better manager. That's what they'll tell you that they need. And then you'll be able to hear that and actually deliver both for them in a way that transforms their whole experience here.
This is perfect.
Yay!
I feel like I have like so much clarity now.
Great.
And confirmation of like, this is the right path for me. I have this renewed excitement for my business that I had been lacking the last few weeks.
Yes.
To me.
Beautiful. Anything else?
No, this has been super, super helpful. I'm going to take some time to process it. And I've been taking some notes too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your vulnerability and your presence and your sharing with us. I appreciate you so deeply, and this is going to help a lot of women. So thank you. As we complete this episode, I would love to know your insights, takeaways, and feedback. You can message me on Instagram at Katie Lynn Rojano, or send them via email to katie@katielynnrojano.com. Any products or digital downloads I mentioned can be found via the link in my Instagram bio. If you enjoyed this episode, I encourage you to share it with at least one friend and leave a 5-star review so we can get these impactful dialogues into the lives of even more people. I would also like to thank my guest for their vulnerability and generosity in allowing us to learn from them and grow alongside them. Until next time, friends, let's go beyond.